Alex O'Neill. Hello,
Hi,
Alex. Hello, Alex. We're here. We have reassembled. We have reassembled the Avengers for Marvel Avengers, and we are here. It is the Endgame. It is Marvel's Avengers Endgame. The Endgame to Marvel's Avengers.
Initiative.
And then the Initiative, and it's the Marvel Endgame Avengers, the Avengers Endgame. We're here for Marvel Avengers Endgame.
The Marvel Avengers.
From Marvel, Captain America's Marvel's Avengers Endgame.
Everyone, spoilers, Captain America is alive.
Yeah, the character they're going to sell you cosmetics for, and they call up one of their launch heroes. He's alive. Look, there he is, right in the center.
Beautiful.
Of the Avengers.
Hey, so we're gonna talk about the end game here. I have gotten to the point where I got Cap back.
Okay.
For your reference, I figure that's probably pretty close to the end.
Yeah, there's like I think there's maybe 2 more missions after that at most.
Which when we were, I was trying to get through a bunch yesterday, but then I got a code for another game I have to play.
That's right.
And I was like, I just want to get to when Cap comes back.
Yes,
and it also coincided with the space part, which I also wanted to see. So
yes, yeah,
there might be some spoilers for me, but I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I will say there will be probably admittedly kind of minor stuff because bits aside, we're looking at the end game kind of portion to this Marvel Avengers game that's now out. It's been out for a week or so, a little bit more for some people if you got in with the early access stuff.
For me, the privileged few.
Yeah, we both, I think I jumped in the Thursday before the Friday launch, I think is when so I pretty much been playing a pretty decent amount since then. I think I'm in the 45 to 50 hour with it so far.
Nice.
So yeah, as you can see, there's when you first get into this menu, there's a campaign tab and Avengers Initiative tab, and the Avengers Initiative is basically the next part of the game after you beat the single player campaign. That's kind of what they're pushing as the hey, this game is a little bit live servicey. There is stuff to the story does kind of continue, but also not really in this stuff. And there is a little bit here. We might see just a tiny bit of it, but probably not really. Because I'm gonna focus on showing kind of the actual kind of final missions, kind of the new quote unquote newer and unique mission types that are here in the end game, the Marvel's Avengers Endgame.
Okay, that's what I'm curious about too.
Yeah,
because I'm curious what the loop that they want you to kind of repeat.
Yeah,
after the fact is.
Mm-hmm. And I will say there's one thing I have not fully unlocked, and which is but it's a variant of a thing I have, because there is one thing that you unlock once you you get to max power, which in this game is your characters level up and they can get to level 50, but then you also have a power level you have in a Destiny or a Division or whatever. And that can go up to 150. So you have to get to, I believe you have to get to 150 in order to unlock whatever that thing is called. It's called the Mega Hive, and it's basically this big descending floor of you go through these floors of enemies, and you have to as you get into deeper floors, it gets more and more difficult, and the rewards get better and better.
Interesting.
That's kind of my general gist of it, but I have not seen it. I have just unlocked the standard hives, which are a similar concept, but just less floors and not that difficult. So here's
a pit of 100 trials-esque is what it makes me think.
Yeah, and that seems that's what it is right now, because they haven't done they haven't put the actual quote unquote raid activity that they talked about in their last war table. That's not in the game yet, and that's probably going to be in a few weeks. Maybe they didn't really give a specific date.
Sure, yeah.
But here's one aspect of it. Here's kind of looping thing is there are these two kind of like spaces, like these kind of like little hub areas. We're in the anthill, which is kind of like where a bunch of like inhuman refugees are hanging out. Like you kind of come here from like the main campaign. So when they hear there are these characters here, I've already picked them up, but they have these kind of like essentially like daily tasks, which then
bounties.
Essentially like their bounties. And they also give you like a daily villain sector, which is another kind of end game mission type that you get. And these, I would say, like these, like the closest comparison I can make with these are like they're kind of like Destiny strikes, where it's like you're kind of going through a level and you'll kind of take on enemies, and like you'll have kind of specific stopping points that are hey, do this while fighting this enemy, or do this kind of particular objective, and then it all culminates in with fighting a boss. So in this case, we can go fight Taskmaster. So those change daily. And like honestly, like they're a cool concept, but like it is the the larger problem of this this thing we're recording is, I feel like it's going to be one of those things where it's like I'm going to sit here and go, I like this game, and then I'm going to complain about it for like 45 minutes. Just because there's it is the growing pains, the unfortunate reality, I think, of just these kind of larger games as a service, and these like games that have to kind of build themselves over time, so to speak, because they call them villain sectors, but there's only 2 villains that you fight in the game. So like I've already gotten these missions over the weekend, and I've already fought in these guys like 3 times. Like it's just Taskmaster, like spoilers, there's Taskmaster and there's Abomination, and there's like a bunch of the like generic like big
bigger dude enemies.
Like the big aim robots. Like in the campaign, you fight this like big spider tank, and you like destroy the vents on it. You've done that, right? I'm pretty sure that's like kind of early on. That's a villain sector. There's another one that you like that I don't think I have it, but it's a kind of spoilery because it's one of like the last ones where it's like the same concept, but it's a big jet in the air, and you're like shooting, you're like flying around it and like trying to shoot the vents off it, and it has like these like shield things that like pop out of it, and you have to destroy them. So it's like those are your villains, giant robots, and these 2 guys. So like
my favorite Marvel villain, giant spider crab robot.
Giant crab bot. But the thing I do like it, that I think is a kind of a neat concept, and again it falls a little flat just early on here, is that like they do like the villain sectors themselves like change locations. So like the villain sector can be like in the snowy tundra area, and you like go through an area that's like in the snowy tundra and do objectives there, but also it can be like in the Pacific Northwest, and then it's like a completely different kind of section, similar concepts of like you're doing multiple different tasks and then fighting the boss at the end. So like the idea that like those can vary and change is cool, but it's like the same environments we've already seen.
It's only so cool.
Yes, but I could see but I see that future, right, of like once they get to a point where they've added more interesting areas, added more different types of enemies, like they can vary them up in a lot more interesting ways, and I think it would be cool.
That was the thing, like talking about Destiny. And it's funny how this is very familiar to OG Destiny 1, and I know a lot of people made that comparison. I don't want to be too rote with it, but thinking about how when Taken King came out and how the Dreadnought as a location was so much more interesting because there was like a dynamic aspect to it, this Court of Oryx type thing that was new conceptually to that whole game. Like, so there's definitely the potential that even just one of the more like uninteresting, like the Pacific Northwest or whatever new area or new areas they add with time or expansions could be really, really cool. And add really new stuff to it. So
100%. And like I will say one thing that I really do that I think is like what's keeping me playing and will probably keep me playing for at least a little bit longer is like I think all of the characters that are in the game right now, like the 6 base characters, are just very fun to play.
They're all really cool.
Like they're all really cool. They all have their own kind of feeling to them and like a style of play. And like I think all of them have only gotten better since I've been like leveling them up and unlocking more abilities.
Like honestly, I'd say some of them start deceptively uninteresting, but as you kind of get them out and get to where they need to be, they get way more tactical in combat.
Yeah, 100%. Like Iron Man, I definitely felt like was kind of like that, because like when you first start, you just have these repulsors, and then you kind of get the next thing, which are like, all right, you can use these lasers for like combat, and you can use rockets as also these like more high damage like single target kind of things, and you basically are like swapping between them with the D-pad. And once you get those, it's like, okay, he's like a pretty fun character. So you can just get up above everyone and just kind of shoot rockets, and then you can kind of do your standard kind of melee combos and then incorporate the rockets and the lasers into those with different combo hits. Like, you know, all three of them get these kind of things where it's like, you know, do like a 3-hit combo and then finish it with a Y, and depending on which one you have like equipped, it'll like change. Like it'll give you like another essentially like a similar concept with each of the different things. And they'll have their own little things like that. Like the rocket one's really fun because you can just like do that 3-hit, shoot that rocket, and it just launches them and flies them away. So like that like is the first aspect of it, of like they all get cooler stuff in their like combos, and you know, because it is pretty standard like light and heavy attacks. But like they all get like cooler stuff through those, of like either like extenuating the combos, or like, you know, having a move where if you like dodge a move, and then they have kind of like a more counter attack style kind of attack that you can then like fit into a combo and like chain of hits and stuff. It's all really cool how they've made all the characters work. And then on top of that, once you get into these secondary trees, these like straight up upgrade your like your LB RB kind of skills, like super skills. And I think like I'm just like, I've kind of gotten a lot of Iron Mans here, but like for some of the other characters, I'm just starting to get into a lot more of these, and like these are like really cool. Like these have been like, oh wow, like Iron Man has this kind of big AOE kind of stun where it kind of like gives him a big shock damage and stuff, and like that was like kind of useful. But then the upgrades for it now, also I have an upgrade where it gives me like a bubble shield. Like I should have a Titan shield.
Oh shit!
And I can shoot. You can shoot through it too. That's so cool. Like you can shoot out of it, and enemies can't shoot you into it. So now you just have like, now whenever I pop that ability, now I just have that big shield that pops with me, and I think that's really useful. And then. Also, I should explain how these more work. Of like these support ones, you basically have kind of like a couple upgrades for them, and then these two side ones, you basically have a choice. So you're like basically picking. It's like you're picking between these three essentially on these other trees. That's how these kind of the more secondary ones work. So like for instance, and like these also, like, you know, these kind of ones you pick also can kind of play off each other. Like for instance, like if I wanted to, I could have like the bubble shield. Then I can also have this one with it, which makes it so the shield reflects enemy projectiles. So you can see it kind of bounces them back at each other. The one I went for, though, makes it so it increases. It just has a larger range of effect. So it has like a 30% larger range.
Smart.
When you're doing that. But it also does stuff like, when you know, if I wanted to, I can make it so it revives nearby enemy teammates when they're down. Like that's one of the choices on this tree, too. So there's like a whole bunch of stuff like that, like you saw earlier. You know, this is kind of one on this tree. It makes it like a much more powerful version of this beam, where he like includes like both of his hands to do like a big like triple laser shot, and it like makes it like that makes that move like crazy good. Like it just like melts any enemies, even like the later Endgame enemies that I've been fighting, which I don't know if you've seen too much of them yet, like the Adaptoids. Like the
I've fought Adaptoids, but not any like special weird kinds.
Yeah, those dudes super suck in my opinion. And like but as soon as I got this laser, I now like melt those dudes, and it's like it felt so satisfying once I got that to be like, heck yes, get these dudes out of here. And then the other one I have on here basically makes it so it drops a heroic orb, which is like, this is like a weird thing that like I hope they kind of like rethink a little bit, in that like these heroic orbs drop off of enemies I defeat, and they're basically like these little like kind of like bright orange like orbs, and I go up to it and it kind of like gives you like a quicker, like it gives you a little bit of energy for each of your abilities, so you can essentially just like kind of get those so you can kind of pick those up to get them faster. It's just that like they kind of blend in with like everything else going on because the game's kind of really chaotic. So I kind of hope they like maybe at least like do something to make them stand out a little more. So yeah, I have, like I said, I have most of the abilities in these. So let's look at some of this mastery stuff, because this is one these are the ones I haven't really gotten into. I've gotten into a little bit, but these are basically like these are similar in that like you're basically kind of like
passive trees type.
Yeah, they're definitely more passive trees, but they can also be like pretty big, substantial things too. Because I usually go for a lot of range stuff with Iron Man, so I will probably do some range stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So here's this. Options. Adds target guidance system to basic aimed rocket attacks. So I'm guessing that makes it just so I have like better kind of lock on with the rockets themselves.
Yeah, maybe.
That's interesting. But some of the other ones in here, reducing the cost of your laser weapon, or increase the rate of fire, so I can shoot repulsor blast faster. Okay, yeah, that's
cool. That you can kind of spec it to whichever one you use.
Yeah, you prefer. And then these I think are also kind of related to like some of those super abilities I have.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff isn't unlocked for me because like all my heroes are like level 8 or
whatever. Yeah, like so yeah. There's a lot of this stuff that's like kind of in that weird kind of end game, like kind of making your characters better, quote unquote.
So are you mostly playing Iron Man, or are you spending a lot of time with anybody else?
I've been kind of jumping around between all the characters. I would say like my most played are probably Iron Man and Hulk, and like I would say like most of my time has been spent with like Iron Man and Kamala, and like more recently Hulk. But I've played a decent amount of like Captain America too. I'd say like Black Widow and Thor are probably like my two lesser played characters.
Sure.
I would say Thor is probably my least played. Not that I don't really dislike him. It's just I was kind of already started leveling these characters up.
Yeah, so I would say like from the bit I've played, the characters I lean more to are Black Widow and Captain America.
Yeah,
probably Captain America if I had to take a guess though.
Yeah, I like Captain America a lot too. Cool. So I got those abilities.
Do you want to go do a mission?
Yeah, we'll go do a mission real quick. I'll change up the character real quick.
Yeah, do you have some cool costumes?
I have some stuff. There will be a couple. There will be some. This is a little spoilery, but we'll show them off.
Yeah, there's a couple story suits.
Yeah, some story suits. So I have some cosmetics here.
You can see them in the menu from the get go.
Yeah. So I have a handful. Like I think there was like a kind of misconception with when the game was first shown. They are not necessarily first shown, but I think like the week before there was this thing that came out where like you have to pay for the battle passes, and that's like the only way. Like I think people were taking that as like that's the only way you kind of unlock cosmetic stuff in this game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it was just like a general confusion, but that is not how it works. So like you
get like random drops and you can buy them, right?
Yeah. So basically, there's suits you just unlock by playing the campaign. So like I got here's like an early one you get when he's kind of rebuilding his suit. You get a couple of them. Here's like this one's kind of spoilery because this is the one he used when you were talking about.
So good. I can't imagine not ever using that.
Yeah. Well, now I have a cool like jet black version of it. How about that?
Ooh.
So there's those ones. There's also like iconic.
You're playing the PC version also.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Only because you're flipping through costumes faster than 20 seconds.
That's a good call. Yeah, I should have said that up front. I'm on the PC. The game's out on PS4 and Xbox, and it will be on current gen console or next gen consoles. Excuse me.
New current gen.
Yeah, new current gen. So PS5. And Xbox Series X, and it's a free upgrade. That's also worth saying. So it's not like if you bought the game on PS4, which I'm sure most people did because of Spider-Man, you can upgrade the game for free to PS5.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I have that cool jet black version. There's each hero has kind of like iconic hero missions, which give you a little bit more like post game story stuff. And by doing those, you get these iconic hit outfits. So here's like a more like kind of classical like an Iron Man that you can get from doing that from those missions.
Show the Stark Tech one, because that's the one you get for his mission.
Yeah, Stark Tech one.
Oh, that one's cool.
The Stark Tech one is actually like the end game, spoilery end game. There's basically like a final mission you do that like all the heroes get like a really cool Stark Tech outfit.
Cool.
So that's what this one is. That's one
end game.
Yes, that one is what that's from. And I will say, like, I won't show every single one, but all of the characters, all 6 characters get an outfit during that sequence, and they're all very cool.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
So no team up movie is complete without a good suit up scene. That's why I like that scene in Endgame is so good for me.
Yeah. So I've gotten a few there. This one right here is actually the first one off of his battle pass or challenge card, I guess is what you want to call it in here. So here's the challenge card. So yeah, I'm level 6 on the challenge card because I've been doing.
How do you get experience for the challenge card?
So these are from these daily, and they're specifically from this daily and weekly missions. So you have the daily ones that refresh, so that you can see once you do if I defeat enemies with a sprint or dodge attack, I get 3 points. So that's basically like 3 little ticks. On this meter. And the weekly ones are like, here I defeated 10 of the adaptoids or exos or dreadbots. So then that or doing this one where it's to rescue hostages, that gives me 11 points on the track. So like,
wow.
So yeah, these are pretty mandatory to do. Like these are the way you progress on these trees. Like there isn't just like, you're not just getting XP, let's say, by playing the game and leveling them up. It is all by these. So it is a little time gated, right? So like, these refresh in 3 hours, the daily ones. And these refresh in 2 days or so. So you kind of have to wait for them to refresh to get those. But you get some cool, like you get this cool takedown that I now have. That they'll just do those randomly when you do kind of like when you stun an enemy, you can kind of hit Y and B. I'm on an Xbox controller. Mm-hmm. And they'll do like a random one of the takedowns you have, which are pretty cool.
But like I think the game, the part of this game that is appealing to these people of like, I want to stick with this and play this, they will. I'd like to think that they'd be excited about unlocking these costumes and stuff. Yeah,
and I'm sure like there's people who look at this and go like, oh yeah, I know this Iron Man suit. That's like. Yeah, like
all right, I know.
Or like these little nameplates are like, I remember reading that Iron Man comic issue or whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, here you go.
I would say all the comic book collectibles are cool just because they are like actual comic covers.
Yeah, I like that's like one of the questions I have though is like, so that means like comic books of these heroes already exist in the world of Avengers.
I think yes, but I think the ones that we see are just like for us, That's
that's right. And like they kind of refer to it because you're like in the opening mission, you like collect comics for this scene. It's like it's one of those things where it's like, man, don't think about it too much.
yeah. It's for me. I only have like 3 comic books. Like I have one Superman comic that's like about his son or whatever, and then I have the Miss Marvel one, and then the Court of Owls Batman one, and I've seen both those covers like in current media so much lately. I'm like, I've actually read those comics.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like the 2 comics I've actually checked out.
Yeah, I will say like, in terms of my kind of history with like Marvel stuff is like, I didn't really read a lot of comics growing up. I read some stuff once I was kind of like in high school. Like I mainly read. This might have been a little bit after high school, but like the ones I finally remember is like they did the Civil War run of comics, and then that led into Secret War. That was kind of my kind of like reading of some Marvel stuff that I really liked comic book wise. But I'd say like most of my Marvel kind of appreciation and stuff actually came from video games. Like, I kind of grew into knowing Marvel stuff from Marvel vs. Capcom, and like I had a local movie theater that had an arcade, had Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and it's like the one before that was like Marvel Superheroes, whatever it was called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And they had those machines in there, and like every time I had to go see like a movie there, back in those days, I would always stop and play those until eventually I got consoles that had those games on them, and then I played them a bunch. And then like games like, that this game is kind of an evolution of, really, are like, the X-Men Legend games and the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games.
Yeah, totally.
I really like those games growing up, and like this is like a cool evolution of those in my opinion. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Marvel stuff. But yeah, I honestly don't think the cosmetic stuff, paying for things in this game, is that bad. Like it's pretty lax overall. I feel like it's generally standard, like a battle pass thing. A lot of these cosmetics, it's a mix of like, there's a fabrication machine which is on the one of the hub areas, and basically from missions you can get these random like they're called patterns, and they randomly drop, and then those can essentially give you like a random skin for one of the characters, and there's only certain skins that can pop from those fabrication machines. So here's that one.
You'll get like a purple or a blue or a green. Yeah, you'll know kind of the tier you're getting when you get it.
So, but there are like some. Actually, I don't think I don't know if they have them here.
I think the battle
you
pass things are not in there.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the actual like ones you buy, I don't think are in here, but I think they are variants. And you also get a skin, like if I get my Iron Man to level 50, here's like the suit you get for hitting level 50. That's pretty cool.
That's a pretty cool blue suit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And they got other stuff. They got emotes and like the takedowns, which I think are cool.
Yeah.
And then you get like nameplates. Change the little plate up there. I can make them look different.
All right. Do you want to jump into a mission?
Yeah. Let's get into a mission here. I got my old school. I got my old school Iron Man suit on. And so we got my war table here. This is pretty much where all the missions are. And let's see what we got. Try and find a villain sector. So I would say like kind of like the main things I feel like are in game are these villain sectors, which you get 2 different ones daily from the different faction leaders. So there are these like kind of big badges, and then there's the hive. This one's an elite hive, which is like a kind of like a descending floor of like enemies. And then the other thing are like shield vaults. So these kind of things where basically you'll kind of run through a big open worldish. You kind of run through a big open worldish area, and then you'll find one of those little secret shield like kind of doors in the ground, and you'll go in, and then you like fight off waves of enemies, kind of like while you're doing this challenge.
Yeah, you do one of those during the campaigns. I remember.
Yeah. So like one of the things that opens up in the end game, which we'll jump into one of these. I'm gonna lower the challenge a little bit to challenge 1.
That's good with me.
Because when you do these villain sectors, I think these are not in the kind of the story. You basically get these things called DNA keys. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's another currency. Of course, in a video game, in one of these games. So I think I'm good with these 4. So you can see there's a little bit like my Hulk's pretty up there. Miss Marvel too. Then like Black Widow needs some love, and then Thor's even lower.
Thor.
Yeah, I'll get to him eventually, but basically, yeah, you do these. You can do these missions.
Didn't think this was something I should handle,
which will kind of lead into doing fighting a villain. You'll then get a thing called a DNA key, which then lets you go back to. So then once you have those, you can go back to those shield vault levels, and inside the level there's a hidden shield, like a blue shield chest that only those DNA keys can unlock. And they will give you like a lot better like gear and equipment and like more currency and stuff.
I like hidden loot.
Do we know what
That's
we
always fun.
Yeah, and only those DNA keys can unlock them.
Like what Tony ran into with Commander Hill,
so would you say like once you're in this part of the game, do you feel like you're doing the exact same missions over and over again, or is there?
Yes, I would say you're doing a lot of the same stuff over and over again for sure. Like, and I would even say like that's kind of like I would say it's kind of running these missions over and over again, or not necessarily over and over again.
Marking a target on your radar.
But definitely, like I feel like the day, like if you're playing this game daily or weekly, the loop would be like log in, grab these, grab the
faction bounties and stuff.
The faction bounties, the villain kind of layer sector missions for the day, and kind of just do those to get some loot and level up and do that stuff.
Looks great on PC.
Yeah, it definitely
looks good on consoles. To be clear, it's just like the skybox here looks really good.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's running a little sharper. That's kind of the ultimate. The only reason I kind of got it on PC is just because I knew it would kind of run a little better and load a little faster. But I'll more than likely kind of if I think this game will kind of definitely improve over time, just by kind of nature of these games. And I think I'll probably jump back in on PS5 at some point because that's just where people will be playing after a certain point.
There they are.
So for you, and you've played a lot of Destiny, especially recently, what do you feel this game like really needs right now, if anything?
I think it just really needs like more variety. Like you'll see in this this is kind of a unique area, somewhat compared to some of the missions we've done. Oh geez. But you'll see, like, once we kind of get inside, like, some of those areas will be kind of the same areas you saw even in the single player. Like, a lot of these missions towards the end, like, the other part of this, which I kind of, I'm down. The other part of this Endgame stuff that I didn't really want to do because it's kind of long are those hive sectors. And basically, like, it's usually, like, 5 floors of, fighting enemies or doing certain objectives, and all 5 of those floors, like, you have probably already seen in the single player. I can tell you that, like there's like the one area where you're kind of like in a lab, and there's like those 3 like there's like the 3 little kind of like generators you have to destroy, where it's like you like walk up to them and you pull the thing out and you like punch them a bunch. Like, that's one of the floors. Like, there's the floor where it's like a big like kind of like rectangle arena. That's like pretty much those. It's like just those floors put in a row, and then you just fight a bunch of enemies inside it and do those same objectives that you kind of already did. Like, that's like the hive, then that's those hive sectors. Like, it's kind of just what it is right now.
Yeah, thinking about the types of obviously Destiny's your and probably my biggest point of reference.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of like working something like the Menagerie or something repeatable and fun and interactive and that can be different each time into this game. I just I don't know what it necessarily would have to look like, but I feel like they can do it.
Yeah, and I think like the hive, those things, like,
there will likely be many forces guarding
like
the stronghold.
I think that's generally okay if it wasn't just like the only one, right?
Yeah.
Where like if they had more varied areas, which you'd assume like if one day there will be like I don't want to get into like since you didn't beat like the single player, there's like some kind of spoilers of like a little bit of post credit kind of things.
They're setting up next.
Yeah, of like what's kind of what's probably coming next, more than likely. And those would hopefully include like new much different areas and some different areas to like fight stuff in. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to, of like I've been fighting these same robots for probably the 50 plus hours I've been playing this game, and we'll continue to, and that's like that's just is what it is now. But it's like it needs that kind of. I definitely think it'll need that shot in the arm of like, here's just like a much more different feeling kind of activity to what you're doing, like different environments to like roam around, different kind of enemy factions that kind of do different things that compared to these guys.
Yeah, even like I was kind of bummed, and I haven't finished the campaign, but I assume this isn't gonna happen. the point where I'm at, I was kind of bummed there's no like Natasha Romanoff like Batman like stealth mission, right? Like,
yeah, right.
There's still plenty of mechanical ideas with some of these characters that there haven't been explored yet. Plus, like playing through it, and luckily we just got like this wonderful, great full arc of Avengers comic book characters in cinematic form.
Right.
Part of early aspects of that franchise was like how earthbound everything felt, and that's very much how this game feels. Like the kind of spacey parts of it aren't really a factor at all in this universe, in this story. So like they left themselves a lot of room to do some cool stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of like a vibe I definitely feel too. Of like this feels like it does definitely feel like the start of the Avengers. Like this feels like when in the movie comparison department of like this feels like the Avengers at like when they're at like Age of Ultron level, or even base level Avengers, where it's like they're kind of just taking on their first threat. And obviously there's like we just got off that big, more epic scale of Endgame and Infinity War with fighting Thanos, and it's like they obviously can't start. They like the fortune is like they can't start with that stuff, right? Like they can't start with the showstopping stuff.
The name is perhaps
so like this kind of feels like that a little bit of like, all right, yeah, we're just kind of fighting robots.
Sorry for making it personal.
Yeah. Very Age of, like you said, Age of Ultron. Like MODOK is a cool
God of Thunder.
villain for
Better
like
focus.
not
You're headed for
not
a
being
hangar full of
Ultron,
shipping
like
containers.
a villain of that kind of
Guessing Monica
style,
was
but
planning to
different
deploy a
and
new
has
set of
its own kind of
robots to go
psychological
who knows
aspect
where
to
with
it.
her clone Lieutenant Skullface.
So yeah, I don't know. They've got so much room to grow. I'm curious how other characters are going to show up, what the world feels like after that, if there's going to be like big story like expansions, but again, is it all going to be free? Are they going to sell an expansion for this game? If they did, like, I'd be okay with that, if it's as good a quality as the campaign was.
Exactly, yeah. That's definitely curiosity, because it's like, we know we know 2 post-launch characters. And we know
they both have bow and arrows.
Yeah, and they both have bow and arrows. And like they I rewatched that like War Table again, just like because I've been like playing this game a lot, and having kind of like it being a game to service is like kind of always looking ahead is always on the mind, kind of with these games to an extent, if you're really into them. And they showed some like other things of like there's going to be like a new social space that's like coming, which seems like that'll be coming with those characters,
Looks like he's in some kind
or at least one of the characters, because it seemed like I'm not sure where, like I didn't see this official reporting, but I was like listening to some other like content creators and podcasters like talking about this game, and they were saying like those 2 characters are actually like technically like separate releases. So like Kate Bishop they said is coming at the end of October, and then Clint and Hawkeye stuff is going to come at the end of November, which is like that's like not a bad cadence, but like how like dramatically different is that stuff going to be then?
Yeah,
probably not too much.
And like there is some to be fairness with like we both said, the kind of kit for each character is really fun and interesting. Like if they can introduce really compelling, interesting characters at that quick a pace, that's cool.
Yeah.
But obviously that pace can't last forever. Like I think of League of Legends in a similar concept where they were releasing a new champion every other week for a long time, and they could not keep that up forever. Yeah,
totally. And I think there'll also be like, and I definitely think what we'll see is like a little bit with some of the characters is like you can kind of see like some archetypes, right, of like even with some of the characters there of like I can't imagine Spider-Man coming and him not having basically like kind of like some similar move sets to like what Black Widow has, where she can basically hit right trigger with her and she'll like grapple to like enemies, like just like automatically just bring her to them. It's like I can't imagine like Spider-Man will not have something where he can just like quickly zip anyone and everyone, you know what I mean? Like
just like the PS4 game.
Yeah, and I think there will be characters that have some overlap, like also with like how Iron Man has like a multiple, like I can change between these repulsor and the lasers, the rockets and stuff. I feel like Hawkeye and probably Kate Bishop will probably have like a similar like, hey, you can
arrow,
arrow. You can swap between these arrows and stuff.
Totally.
So like,
even like Thor and Iron Man, like the way they're flying is essentially the
what
same.
a heartwarming reunion.
So I think there will be some overlap with some characters. Like
I might as well have.
Natasha has told me that.
But yeah, like he said, like keeping interest, but also like having those major expansions, right? Of like, I think they've said they've committed to like 6 more characters, and that's like post-launch characters, but that doesn't include like an expansion. So is there a potential where we get 6 characters and then get like a full-on like here's what year 2 of Marvel Avengers looks like, and it's whatever.
Yeah. What does that look like too? And
yeah, is that like a whole new set of characters and stuff where like that worries me from like remembering Days of Destiny of like even what Destiny was going through a little bit now or this year of like when they're kind of getting closer to that expansion, like they're kind of shifting focus to that stuff and like not like what's currently going on. So like maybe like these coming characters a little interesting, but maybe when we get closer to that, potentially maybe the characters kind of a little less interesting, or maybe some of like the content that comes with them, because there's like a fair thing to say of like they have said like the characters are free, the characters are free, and there's also like more story content and like things coming with them. Because that's what they said. Like Kate Bishop will come with like a new area, which I'm assuming that's essentially like how you can pick different areas on the war table. It'll be something like that. And they also said like a new villain to fight. I'm assuming that'll be like another villain that'll be like in one of these sectors that you can fight.
Yeah. And maybe there will be cool stuff in there. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's funny. There's a lot of questions before people got their hands on this game as to like what is this game?
Yes.
And it kind of turned out to be what I thought it would be to some extent. But like with a much more robust single player that I'm really happy with.
Yeah.
But I think it's clear like they did have an idea of what this game would look and feel like that was very difficult for them to convey to us before the game came out. So I'm hopeful now that this has turned out to be better than I thought it would be. Not that I thought it would be bad, but just it clearly has a lot of growing to do. I'm hopeful that they also have an idea of what the roadmap for this game looks like, and that it'll kind of come together in a way that'll make more sense with time.
Yeah, I've there's definitely it's like a weird thing of like going from like think of like 2 weeks before this game came out, and I think like a majority of us on the team were like, man, I don't whatever. Just kind of like I'll maybe play this a little bit and like it'll be fine, and then we'll bounce off. Where now it's like, all right, I've gone from that to like generally, oh gosh, like
I want to like this game.
Yeah, I want to like this game, and I want to be hopeful for like where it goes. Hope I need some health. And they said like the next like they're going to be doing more of those like war table things, of course. And they said the next one will like kind of talk more about like that post game releases, and like they use the word roadmap in that like we're going to talk about the post the roadmap ahead. So I'm hoping that'll kind of like shed light on like at least like give us like a general time frame of like when content is coming to the game. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Of like, I think there's a good foundation here. There's definitely things they can fix. Definitely things they can streamline. Because we didn't really talk about like we didn't really get too deep into like some of some of the weird stuff with the loot. But I think that's stuff that's like ultimately they can figure out and streamline. It's just not going to happen right away.
Yeah, it'll take time.
And
but,
if like right,
it's good at least that they've earned some benefit of the doubt, which is
yeah, which definitely seems like there was a lot less people that were willing to give them that even before the game came out.
Yeah. But it's funny too, like we see this game kind of come out and the kind of word the group thought on it change pretty quickly. Yes. Just based on the quality of the stuff in there and the heart that was there. And then we also saw like the Xbox.
There's also this sick bug where Hulk is fall. Oh, there it goes. Okay.
The infinite falling Hulk.
Yeah. Okay.
Into the floor.
He figured it out, but yeah, there's
also
some
like this
stuff.
Xbox like turning PR around. So like it's given me hope that video games. I think a part of that is like this year has just been like, well, it must be bad.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah,
is good.
yeah. We can't. Yeah, we can't. We can't feel. Yeah, how we can't feel good about anything ever.
You have
Yeah.
no idea what
So,
to
You
do.
know,
the scenes coming out and turning things around for themselves just on their sheer quality of it gives me a little hope.
Yeah, it turns you around a little bit and goes like, oh yeah, this could be a fun thing. So there we go. Yeah. I murdered Mr. Taskmaster.
You murdered a man.
I murdered that man who is strong enough to take on all those dudes.
And that's 1/3 of what you'll be doing over and over again in the Endgame of Avengers.
Yep, that's pretty much one of like the main core things.
We're gonna see.
Oh, you got a purple chess piece though.
Yeah, I got some chess piece. I got that DNA key. The polychron, like that thing is useful.
Will have fought us before,
And
thus we will
I think we went over the good amount of stuff. Like
war strategy
yeah, I think we covered a lot of good stuff. Also, we talked about the kind of the thoughts and feelings with this game, which I'm happy with what we talked about.
Yeah, agreed. Just like the last thing I would say is like, talking about like future of this game is like I think like definitely some just like a lot of this stuff, this line here of stuff, just some of the like general things I think can be streamlined a little bit more.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like even like I would say the same thing about Destiny. Like this weird like resource based economy is it's interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is like, oh cool, I can get those numbers up, baby.
That is a dope chess piece.
And I think it's more just like how they conveyed here, right? Of like, you can at least like hover over them and kind of see what they're all about. But just like Destiny just doesn't like throw it all in your face. Where I feel like people who are not familiar with these style of games, right, are gonna like see all this stuff and be like, what?
Yeah, totally.
See numbers and like basically like I think the simplest way to put it is like the four in the center here are only for your gear, your armor loadout. So that's just used to upgrade them if you want to. These two on this side are used for your artifacts, which give you boosts. And these are those DNA keys I was talking about earlier, where they unlock the shieldy things. And these are just general use. Like you use these to like buy armor from vendors or
to buy stuff and whatnot.
Or whatever. So like it seems like a lot, but it's not like crazy. It's just I think it's just pretty status quo for these games. Like we brought up, Destiny has a million things. I'm sure games like Warframe or I don't really think I didn't play enough Division to really know.
Division has a little bit of that for sure.
Yeah, but I'm more than sure like Warframe has that because that game's been going even longer than Destiny has in some regard. So that probably has plenty of that stuff too. So I think it's just a nature of these style of games that's going to have a lot of this stuff. I just think they can streamline a little bit of like I don't think I need 4 separate currencies to like upgrade a piece of gear.
Yeah,
like
it's a lot.
Like I get that they're like they are tied to different rarities, but like you don't. So like I just don't think you need that.
I'm with you.
We can upgrade really quick.
I think that's Marvel's Avengers.
I think that's Marvel Avengers.
Feeling okay about it. I like so I'm not at the end game, but I don't know how much I'm gonna honestly play the end game until some more characters start showing up. But
yeah, that's totally fair. I think I'm gonna at least max a couple characters at least, or get him to level 50 at least, because I've heard that like it has that kind of Destiny power creep that you can have, where essentially like the gear number that you get will max out at a certain point, and that's when it becomes about like actually like boosting the pieces of gear and the artifacts to get you higher. Like I heard that like you get to a point in the game for that, but that seems more specifically for like whatever that seems more equivalent to like what the raid thing that they're adding.
Yeah,
like if you want to do that and you're into that stuff, like that's there. I don't know if I'll do that. personally, but I think I'll at least like max out some characters, get some of those cool, like hey, I like that skin. I'll just get it because it's not like I'm already level 40 here with Iron Man, so like it won't take that long. Like it's not, it is an investment, but I don't think it is like as hardcore as I think people are afraid of. Because when I think they hear games of service, I think some people like shudder a little bit of like, oh god, they want to consume my life, and it's like no they don't, not really. You can come back and you can enjoy it for a little bit and then like take a break and not play it for as much, or like play it in shorter spurts than a lot of people do.
Yeah, I would say like outside of Destiny, I'm probably the person at IP that enjoys these maybe the least. I'm just not vocal about it,
Mm-hmm.
But like it is one of those things where I'm appreciative that this of the games that I've played like this, like the Division 2, I couldn't recommend of like just play the campaign, you get something out of it, because I tried that and I really didn't. This I feel like you can play and get something out of, and then because of that you'll be maybe more interested in coming back to it.
I totally agree with that. Of like you might like the story, and like they are building stuff, like I said, like don't want to spoil people too much on that stuff if they are interested in playing single player.
I think because I think a lot of people will check this out that are just curious how this game is going to be afterwards. So
and they will, and they built some things, like there's like a post game credit teaser like Marvel stuff does now in 2020, and then there's there's iconic hero missions that you'll get, like they give you a couple more teases of some things too, but that's that stuff's all there, and it's kind of building clearly towards like stuff like it seems like they have ideas in mind and plans in mind for where they want to go, at least with the story stuff. But the other stuff I think still definitely needs some work. I think it just needs more content, and like some things just need refining. I think they already know that though, because like, but we will
also. This is a multiplayer game, so at the very least now maybe I'll play it with people.
Yeah. I've honestly been playing a lot of it solo just because I'm on PC, and like most people I know that are playing this got on PS4, but I'll definitely be willing to play with some folks once it comes to PS5, because I'm sure they'll also have maybe patched up some of the weird kind of there's some like weird bugs and stuff going on with the game too. Yes.
I do appreciate its performance mode, but maybe they'll consolidate that too, so it's a 4K performance mode. So. Yeah,
and just like some general, like I've heard like there's some weird wonkiness with some matchmaking stuff that maybe needs a little ironing out. But I think that's it. We'll just leave it.
Yeah.
Leave it there.
Thanks for hanging out with us, and hopefully we will maybe return with more Marvel's Avengers in the future.
Yeah, we'll see what the future holds once we're done with the Endgame and get to the Marvel's Avengers Endgame of Marvel's Avengers. All right. Goodbye.
Bye, Spider-Man.